All right. Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to watch YRLA. We have a very special guest with us today. He is Chris Small, previous employee at Amazon, and now the founder of TCOEW. Chris Small, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here with y'all.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And with us today, also interviewing, we have Sky. Sky, how's it going? Nice to have you.
Hey, thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Excellent, absolutely. So this is a great thing. So right now, the People's Convention is still going on. You just spoke. You had a really powerful speech there that was very moving, very informative, and it led us to have a lot of questions here. And basically, where I'm coming from, obviously we're coming here from Los Angeles, we're thinking that, more and more people need to stand up. More and more people need to take action. So one of the biggest, takeaways that I see, from you is that you just said, let's go for it, right? You're taking the action and organizing people, and God bless you for it, man. That's what we need. So what I'd like to ask right now is kind of take me through that process, if you don't mind, to go from, what led you to being, ultimately terminated by Amazon, like once again, too, before we get into it, I'll just kind of briefly mention it because it's been stated so many times in other interviews that the way I feel, the way I see it, you were wrongfully terminated by Amazon by just, whistleblowing and saying, hey, look, we don't have, the right equipment here and the right standards in place to keep everybody healthy. Someone has COVID, let's shut down. And instead they shut you down. Right? Am I basically right on that? Summary?
Yeah, you're right. Except for they tried to shut me down.
Tried. Yeah, tried. That's right. But now you're here and now you're even bigger, which I love. So that's why I want to ask, if you don't mind. So quickly, kind of take me through how that was like to go from that process of being, ultimately terminated by Amazon to look, to even looking at your family, understanding what's happening to other families, as a result of their lack of practices. And what was it like to make that bold decision to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fight against the richest company on earth? You must have had a process in your mind to go I'm going to do this. I'm going to step up and I'm going to be a target, but damn it, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little back history on my story. I started with Amazon back in 2015. Entry level, when I came in, I was only making $12.75 an hour. And I left. I took a pay cut to come to Amazon because I was working for a private-owned company prior to it, and it was a union-based production warehouse, and the union wasn't taking care of their workers there as well. The contract we signed was like a 10-year contract where we had no upside, no benefits to gain, and minimum, you could say, pay increase to gain over the course of the 10 years. So it was easy for me to transition to Amazon. When I first signed on with the company, I looked at it like a great opportunity career-wise, especially for those like myself who wasn't fortunate enough to go to college and finish college. I looked at it like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to continue to make a decent living with benefits and take care of my family. Quickly, I learned that wasn't the case, but the quickly process was it was 4 years later. I was mentally already done with Amazon when pre-COVID. I got promoted up in less than a year to a supervisor position, which is a process assistant. And I opened up 3 major buildings for them in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. I trained hundreds, if not thousands of employees for Amazon. And that position was molding me to become a leader. And I embraced that early on with my career with Amazon. So when they fired me, they had no idea that they fired one of their best employees that they probably ever hired within the warehouse system. I'm a people's person. I'm a natural born leader. And this situation that I was put in on March 30th for raising health and safety concerns, it catapulted me into the spotlight because the media gravitated to the fact that I was speaking truth to power. It was very easy for you to make the decision to hold a protest and walk out. Like I said, the company wasn't taking care of their employees pre-COVID. When COVID came into play, now I'm witnessing, which I consider my extended family around me, become sick. You know, these are people I spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week. Yourself, you know the hours you work at your job,
Right.
the postal service. After seeing people every day on a daily basis, they become your family.
Absolutely
And
right.
and if you got to understand, I couldn't sit back and do nothing. It would have been inhumane for me to sit home as a supervisor of these people who I call my family and do nothing. So when it came to the time to take a stance, I stood with my people, and I still continue to fight, even though I'm no longer employed with the company.
Oh, that's awesome. So you're just saying, hey, no matter what, like this is the right thing to do, and that's what motivated you, right? So basically, so in this situation, then they picked the fight first with you when you were in a position when you were doing so many great things with them. And then they go around and smear you and so on and so forth and be like, oh, yeah, not articulate, all sorts of things that aren't true. Oh, my gosh. So what was the feeling there when that started happening? Were you just like, oh, I was ready for it, let's go? Or were you thrown back by it?
No, of course I was thrown back because, like I said, I wasn't the organizer or a union salt or somebody that's been doing activism before. I was just a concerned father, a supervisor, a regular human being, a part of the community. And when this all happened, I definitely went into a dark moment because I just lost my 5-year career tenure with the company. And now I have to figure out how I'm gonna get health insurance and pay my rent and figure out how I'm gonna feed my children in the middle of a pandemic. This company had no remorse for that. So my life was definitely destroyed in the blink of an eye. But then I had to quickly embrace the role that was given to me. You know, it doesn't happen to everybody that you get an opportunity to go at the richest man in the world.
Right.
And so for me, I couldn't just, walk off and sell up in the sunset. Of course, I could take legal action, which I am doing, by the way. But the legal action, I wanted to make sure that it benefits everybody, not just myself. It was never about Chris Smalls versus Amazon. It was always Amazon versus the people. And I represent the people because I started this revolution against Amazon. And what I mean by that I started it, I'm talking about is when it pertains to COVID-19. So I just want to continue to carry that torch and continue to uplift the voices for those who are not heard and those who have stories who haven't been heard yet.
That's amazing. So look, during what you said in the speech, you mentioned something about capitalism's tied in with racism, right? So I want you to expound on that here, give you that platform. Can you explain that?
Absolutely. You cannot separate the two. Jeff Bezos don't become a billionaire by being a nice person. Let's just throw that out the window right now.
Right.
When it comes to capitalism, you have to exploit a class of people. A class meaning a whole race of people, meaning whether it's immigrants, whether it's the black people, whether it's the brown people, whether it's Latinas, whether it's gay, trans, it doesn't matter. These companies exploit one of their classes or not multiple classes to become as rich as they are. In this case with Amazon, they exploit the lower class people, which we are made up of all these different classes. So what I stood up for ultimately was all these different people. It wasn't just about health and safety. It was about the community that we live in and not the 1%. We got to understand, Jeff Bezos, I seen that we've been protesting in front of their locations, his house, his $1 million mansions. They're in New York, they're in Washington, they're in all your major cities. And this man don't live in none of them. But what they're doing is raising the property value of all the places around it, paying no tax, by the way, zero federal taxes, while your taxes are going up. They're gentrifying your communities, our communities. So gentrification starts from the top. And we just got to realize we cannot separate anybody, any class. We all have to come together because that's what capitalism do. It divide people. It put people versus people to the point where we think that we're each other, that we're the enemy. And when you see me advocating for things and different demands, I'm trying to benefit for you as well. There's people that's upset about the fact that we're talking about $30 an hour minimum wage. Mm-hmm. And they have to get out that mentality. As a warehouse worker, even as a postal service worker, you deserve $30 an hour. Don't you not? You got to understand. they're getting richer. Why can't we?
Right.
No, their revenue's going up. Why can't we get a piece of the pie? And people got to understand we're not untrained or unskilled just because we don't have a piece of paper from a college degree.
Right.
You have to go through a job training no matter what college you come to. I done trained all the college graduates that got hired with Amazon. They don't know ish about a warehouse. Right. There's no way you're going to come in there and learn how to work a forklift on your first day.
They wouldn't survive an hour.
They wouldn't even survive. Exactly. That's the craziness about it, that they won't even last a day in the position that warehouse workers are without going through the proper training. So we got to stop that mentality, stop that conversation. We deserve more. We deserve better. And that's what I'm all about.
Right. And Sky, you had a question there earlier too that you wanted to bring up at this point, right?
Yeah. Chris, thanks so much for having us. I've been watching you online. You're doing big things, like I said, making me feel bad. Got to step it up over here. I really wanted to kind of just give you the platform, of course, to talk a little bit about your next project. A lot of people know you as now the shutdown Amazon guy, right? But what are you working on now? I see you started TCOEW, right? Talk to me a little bit about that organization.
Absolutely. Yeah, so in the midst of this pandemic, I was able to conjure a great family and alliance that I came across, and together we've been doing some great works. Some of our results have been the resignation of Tim Bray, one of Amazon's top VPs, who stood in solidarity with the workers. I spoke to him on the phone a few times. So you're seeing this relationship with the tech corporate side come with the worker side. And I had to continue that vision. So we founded the TCOEW, the Congress of Essential Workers. And our mission is to have a union-like structure, but not be considered a union. We want an employee-driven rank and file committee within these workforces where the employees can control their own contracts and negotiate with the corporate side and negotiate with VPs and Jeff Bezos himself, where they can control their destiny, have their demands met as workers. So that's the vision of TCOEW. We want to get as many workers as we can, gain this worker power, and then have the worker power to benefit the workers. And hopefully we'll be able to do that with the workforce of Amazon. They have 600,000 employees nationwide. And this is why I continue to travel the country and advocate and uplift the voices of Amazon workers, because we want to start with the top juggernaut. And we feel like if we start with Jeff Bezos, all the other ones will fall in line, like the Elon Musk and the Bill Gates and everybody that's underneath Jeff Bezos, as far as the retail market, will fall in line and take care of their workers, because they will see that this will be the result if they do not. And that's what we're about.
So if I understand this correctly, you're kind of forming a union, or?
No, not a union, but we're using the union-like structure. And what I mean by that is there's no union dues. It's not a transfer of power. Like if you think about it, one union to control the workforce of Amazon, that's going to basically transition the power from one entity to another. We want to give the power to the workers. So we don't want to call ourselves a union, but we'll use their structure. They have a lot of good things. Some unions do a lot of great things for their employees, but other unions absolutely do get corrupt. We don't want any corruption in our organization. We want the workers to know that they have full control of their destiny. So using their structure, meaning like using a rank and file committee, a democracy where employees are able to vote on what the things they want. That's the tactic that we're aiming for.
Super cool. And so tell me a little bit about how you felt on speaking at the convention and what led you to speak at the convention, People's Convention.
Well, it's amazing because I wasn't originally on it, to be honest with you. When I seen it, I saw some of the names on there, Nina Turner, Ryan Knight, and I reached out to Nick because I believe I've done some previous interviews. I've done over 500 interviews. I don't know. I lost count of how many people I spoke to, but I've done some previous things with the People's Party movement, and I asked them, can I be a part of it? And they responded with, hell yes. So it just came together like that. And I was just honored to be a part of it. I have been advocating all across the country. I've been with plenty of the hosts and people that was on the panel. Jimmy Dore was one of the first to break me, give me a platform as well. I've been on
I watched that.
events with Danny Glover as well. Danny Glover out in Oakland. So it's a number of people that's on that panel that they've been supportive since day one. So I just wanted to make sure that I show that solidarity and speak on all the issues that's going on in this country with them.
I love it. I love it too because if you think about it, the people that are working in labor positions, those are people of color. They're minorities. Those are the ones that are unrepresented, and really sometimes they're just happy to have a job. Sometimes they're just, they have nobody to represent them. And of course, Amazon's not going to have a union or anything like that, And so you were that voice to them, and I'm sure they're sad to see you go because who's going to represent them now, right? But I appreciate you stepping up. I love it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And Sky, that's such a great point, because I know how many people just go, I've been searching for a job forever. I got this. I'm not going to shake the boat. And you know what, Chris, one of the reasons why I brought up what I said earlier, like, how did you go through that process of of putting yourself on the line and saying, like, no, if Amazon wants me back, hell no, I'm not going there. You're right. We're in a pandemic. We need to make money, for our families and so on and so forth. So I want to ask you, what would you say to those that are here in the working class, that are going through similar issues and just need that extra push, that extra something, that extra bit of courage, to stand up? What would you say to them to inspire, everybody, others to do what you just did, what you've been doing? I mean,
absolutely. I mean, what I say is, the time is down. We're in unprecedented times. Just think about what COVID-19 exposed about this country as a whole. There's so many social injustices that's going on. There's so much racial injustice. There's so much civil injustice, so much workers injustice that's going on. And you want to look back on this moment in time in history and ask yourself, or reflect back on, what did you do during these times? Did you do nothing? Did you stand on the sidelines, or was you a part of the reform? Was you a part of the revolution that changed this? This is new history. We have to learn from our history, but at the same time, we also have to create history at the same time. So, like I'm gonna say the words of my lawyer, C.K. Hoffler. She says this all the time. You have to walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. Meaning, like, you basically have to learn as you go, and you have to prepare as you go, and continue to fight as you go. And that's what I'm doing right now. I don't even know the future. I don't think anybody does. It's gray right now. Even when it comes to this election, it's very gray of what this country is going to face. We don't know. Yeah. But all I know is what we can control. And I always say this as a supervisor, control what you can control.
Right.
And hopefully the chips fall in your hand, and that's just how you have to do it. You have to keep trucking, keep pushing, and don't give up. Stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for what you think is right. And as a worker, if you feel like your employer is not taking care of you, don't take it anymore. This is the time for you to say, I have a voice, and I'm an essential worker, because we're deemed essential workers. If you're essential, that means you're a necessity. So that means they're relying on you. And that's what workers have to realize, that Jeff Bezos is not coming to his warehouses and packing that box. So you have more wealth and power than he. You gave that to him. So we have to understand that it's time for us to come together as people and use this power and fight back.
I love that, man. And that's why you're always talking about action. And that's why earlier you mentioned at the People's Convention that, hey, DNC just giving lip service, not enough action. So you're all about the action. So what you were saying too was that, hey, things are even gray even coming to the election. We don't know. Is Trump going to win? Is Biden going to win? And that even sucks to say, like, damn it, we only have those two choices, even though, hey, wait, there's Green Party, there's, so on and so forth. But the way the electoral system is set up, we kind of have a reality that only those two will win. So, one of my last questions here with you is that. So, with that understanding of the way that the media has, captured our government, the corporations have captured our government, one of those two, either Trump or the Biden camp's going to win. How do we, with either of them, move in the direction that we want to do with the working class? Like with, the accomplishments that the TCOAW is going to be doing?
Well, we hold them accountable early on. We don't even give them the opportunity to go 4 years. Um, we
Yes.
wait midterm elections, your local elections, get involved now. Your city council people, get them out of office if they're not representing your communities. Defunding the police, abolishing the police departments, do what's necessary. Take the small victories as you get them, because we can't go another 4 years with a Trump administration. We can't go for another 4 years with a Democratic Party that's not representing the people and not taking care of the smallest demands like free Medicare for all. We cannot. We can't do this. This pandemic was a wake up call,
Hmm.
and people got to realize, all these natural disasters that's going on. Yes, it's a form of a sign of bad climate control, but it's also a sign from a higher power saying, like, America, like, you need to do better. All these things that's going on with this country is not for no reason. It's not to be in vain. And people got to realize that. Like, you don't have all these natural disasters just happen randomly. People that's dying, prominent people in our communities that's dying. These are signs. We have to take all of that into consideration. And we have to make sure that, we cannot go through what we're going through now ever again, because that'll be the end of humanity.
Right.
So this election right here is probably the most important election of all time. And I'm hoping that whoever's in office is being held accountable very early on, if not already. And what I want to see is a candidate that's in office that's going to be for the youth, a progressive leader. And we know that Joe Biden is not going to be that. We know that Kamala Harris is not going to be that. But we can hold them accountable, and we can make sure by doing the things we're doing, talking, having this conversation, having the People's Party's convention, that this we're trending what #1 right now in the world as we speak. We putting pressure on them as we speak, and they hear us. Whether they want to ignore it or not, they hear us. And my message to everybody that's a part of it, let's just continue to truck forward, because we can't stop. We have to. We have to do this. And I believe it's going to happen. I believe, in the words of my mentor, keep hope alive. Let's just keep the hope alive, and let's just continue doing what we're doing. We're doing a great thing right now.
Hell yeah, we got to keep moving because they keep moving. It's either they run us over or we run us over. And I think that goddamn time we get inside that vehicle and we tell them, like, we let them know who's driving. So then, so what's coming up next for Chris Smalls, and how can people get involved?
Yeah, sorry about the lighting. It's getting dark over here.
Oh, yeah, no
problem. Yes, what's next for TCOEW? We just left Washington. We got a lot of headlines with the guillotine that was set up in front of Jeff Bezos' house. So I want to also just tell everybody that, don't believe the headlines. We're not trying to behead this man. People are so silly. They really think that we're promoting violence and, right. Republicans are calling us communists and Marxists and all this stuff. It's ridiculous. We're people. We're regular people. And it was a statement to basically say that, we had enough with the oligarchy. So what's next for TCOEW? We're going to L.A. We're coming to Jeff Bezos' Beverly Hills mansion, $165 million mansion over there in Beverly Hills. So we're mobilizing for that. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to be getting together with my team. We're going to fundraise for that. We advise everybody to support our fundraising actions. We have a website, tcoew.org. You'll see our calendar events. Our next event will definitely be LA, probably the end of September. And hopefully we're just going to take it one step at a time. But that's our next plan of action. And in the meantime, in between time, we're going to join in solidarity with anybody that reach out to us. We do actions in New York City all the time, New Jersey as well, all the time. And we're going to continue to do that up until the point where it's time for us to be out west. And follow us. You can follow me on Twitter, @shut_down Amazon. Also on Instagram, @TCOEW, Twitter @TCOEW. Once again, also on Instagram, my name is Chris.Smalls_. Follow me. We post everything on there, all our information, even educational things that you don't may necessarily know of. We post everything, demands, you name it, we got it. Stories from workers, we have it. So just follow us and stay tuned.
I love
Oh,
it.
awesome. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, no, it's so awesome. What a perfect segue. We'll totally love to join you since it's going to be in LA. I'll be there. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Keep in contact on that.
Yeah.
All right, Chris Smalls, the Congress of Essential Workers. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
Amazing having you today. All right, man.
Absolutely.
Stay well. Stay in power.
And anytime. Stay safe, y'all.
Have a
Solidarity.
great night.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please tap the like, hit the bell, subscribe to us, and support us on Patreon if you want to join the cause to help us get corrupt bribes out of our nation's news media. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, this is your revolution.